All right, you guys ready to sing some songs? Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. You guys got to sing loud because I don't sing good. All right, here we go. There's a Sea of Galilee. There's a Sea of Galilee. There's a sea. There's a sea. There's a Sea of Galilee. There's a boat on the Sea of Galilee. There's a boat on the Sea of Galilee. There's a boat. There's a boat. There's a boat on the Sea of Galilee. There are men in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. There are men in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. There are men in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. There are hands in the men in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. There are hands in the men in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. There are hands in the men in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. There are nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. There are nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. There are nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. There are fish in the nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. There are fish in the nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. There are fish in the nets in the hands of the men in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. All right, can we go faster? Here we go. There are fish in the nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. Fish in the nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. There are fish in the nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. All right, do you want to go slower? Here we go. I know there's a couple of you like to sing this one slow, so here we go. There are fish in the nets in the hands of the men on the boat of the Sea of Galilee. There are fish in the nets in the hands of the men in the boat on the Sea of Galilee. There are fish in the nets in the hands of the men in the boat in the Sea of Galilee. All right, hope you guys have a great week. Hey kids, Professor Dynamite has a week off this week, and he asked me if I would fill in, and I told him I'd be glad to. This week, we're going to look at a guy named Joshua. Joshua was a leader of the Israelites. He took over after Moses couldn't lead the Israelites into the promised land. God would not allow him. So Joshua is the leader that leads them into the promised land. And just like Moses parted the Red Sea, Joshua parts the Jordan River so that the Israelites can enter into the promised land. But it wasn't an easy thing to do. First of all, to part the Jordan River, but still they had battles to face and battles to take on once they entered into the promised land. But you see, God, through Moses, and Moses, giving his words to Joshua, told Joshua to be strong and courageous. Hopefully, you're strong and courageous. It's a great lesson for all of us to hear, to be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous is the message that God gave to Joshua as he entered into the promised land, and it's the message he gives to us each and every day for our lives. But Joshua was not a stranger to being strong and courageous. In Numbers chapter 13, he has a story where it tells us about how Joshua was strong and courageous. After traveling in the wilderness, Moses and the Israelites reached the edge of Canaan, the land God had promised his people. The weary travelers were excited to know their journey was almost over. Moses called the people together. Before we enter this promised land, we must send explorers to learn about the land and the people who live there. Moses chose 12 explorers and gave them instructions. Go south and then to the mountains, he said. See what the land looks like. Is the soil rich for planting? Are there lots of trees? Are the people strong or weak? What are the towns like? Are they open like camps or do they have walls? The 12 explorers packed up and off they went. They searched and looked and investigated for 40 days. Then they returned to Moses with a report. The land is awesome, said the explorers. The soil is good for planting grapes and pomegranates and figs, and they shared their treasures with the people. The Israelites couldn't wait to enter the land, and excitement grew among the people. But when Moses asked about the Canaanites, the people who lived in the new land, the explorers began to disagree. 10 were fearful and told the others, "We can't go there. Their cities are huge and they have tall walls around them. The people are big and strong, and some are as big as giants." The fears of the 10 explorers quickly spread through the camp. "We were better off back in Egypt, living as slaves," the people protested. 2 explorers, Caleb and Joshua, were not afraid. They were strong and brave, and they trusted God. "We can do it. We can take the land. The Lord is on our side." Despite all the good things God had done for his people, they did not believe Caleb and Joshua. And God was angry with the Israelites' lack of faith, and Moses pleaded with God to forgive the people. God listened to Moses and agreed to forgive, but God did not allow his people to enter into the land for another 40 years. So Joshua, the guy that took over after Moses, had a history of being strong and courageous. And he knew he could be strong and courageous because God was with him. And so when it was time for Moses to stop being the leader, when the 40 years that they had to wander were up, Joshua was the right man for the job. And that's when he led the Israelites into the promised land, into the land of Canaan. Joshua was strong and courageous, just like I hope you are too. This week, try to be strong and courageous, not just with the things in life, but strong and courageous for the Lord. Try to tell your friends about the great things God does in your life. Hope you guys have a good week and look forward to seeing you next week.